Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible, one brave word at a time. And here today to help me with that mission are a couple of the gorgeous, intelligent, amazing expert authors of a new book that we have out called Shaman Heart, Turning Pain into Passion and Purpose. And actually, I should say it's coming out soon because it's not quite here yet. So welcome, ladies. How you doing?
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
I'm so happy to have you both here for this conversation. Okay, so before I introduce you both, let me just say a humongous thank you to Miss Stephanie Urbina Jones, her husband, Jeremy Pager. You guys are going to be able to watch their interview that I did just a couple of days ago on the YouTube channel. And Stephanie, we would not be here without you. Thank you so much for dreaming this dream up of this project, and not only saying yes to this amazing project, but basically saying, hey, Laura, I want to take everyone to Mexico and we're going to do this a little bit differently. So I so appreciate Stephanie for her own connection to her passion and purpose. And it is why we did this author's journey just a little bit differently than some of the ones in the past. So to both of you, Stephanie and Jeremy, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for getting us together. So you guys, today I have Sherrie Phillips with me. She's the CEO of Your Zen Matters, where they specialize in trauma recovery, transformational breathwork, and week-long spiritual adventure retreats in Mexico and Northern California. Oh, cool. That is where I grew up. So I love Northern California. And Miss Karen Ann Scott is with us. She's the CEO of Be More Here and Now Wellness, where she teaches yoga, mindfulness, and meditation to young people ages 12 to 24. So they learn to self-regulate independently. So, okay, we're going to start this party with Sherrie. Sherrie, tell me about the amazing chapter that you wrote for this project.
Well, I first have to say thank you to you, Laura, and to Stephanie and Jeremy. It was just such an incredible, I've always dabbled in writing. I'm a songwriter. So I've written poems. I've written, lots of different modalities, but this was one of the most potent week-long, pull your heart out in the best way, put it on the altar, expose your inner, just get to know yourself better, I think is what happened for me. And my sister had passed away. I thought I was going to write about something completely different. And then, the gift of the universe was that she passed in October and then we wrote our chapters in January. And so I was able to dive into that grief and dive into that process and share that with you guys, the readers. And it was very healing for me. And, that's the story, right? That's the story of the chapter. But then really getting to share the medicine that I've used over the years of how to help me heal, how I continue to step forward after, I've had a lot of traumatic loss in my life. And that is what I chose to write about in this chapter. Because if I look back, it is the breadcrumbs. It's the breadcrumbs to what I do with my life now. I stand between the worlds and I help people remember who they are when it feels unfathomable to take another breath. So that's what I got to write about. And it was pretty cool.
Sherrie, you could have so easily said no thanks to this, just with what you were going through. And honestly, in multiple projects over this last year or two, with what the whole world has been going through, there's been so much loss.
Yeah.
And you and others have stepped up to say yes anyway. Tell me how you did that.
For me, so the lead author, Stephanie Urbina Jones, and I we're best friends. We go back 35 years. And she called me in August and was like, oh, I'm going to do this thing. And I'm like, absolutely. That sounds great. And then after my sister passed, I was like, I'm not going anywhere. I can't get that vulnerable right now. I can't travel, all the reasons why not. And as it works, I'm always I'm always paying attention and listening for signs. And there were several signs within a few days, a 24-hour window to 48-hour window. You know, I pulled medicine cards that literally said Teotihuacan on them, which I'd never seen before. You know, I just kept listening. And there was an inner knowing. I can't not go. I was all like, it was already planned. But then this calling for my heart to, this was for me. You know, at first it was like, oh, it's for the book and it's this big cool thing for my career, whatever. But it very quickly was clear to me that this was for my healing. And so, you know, I've been a seeker my whole life, and I've always had a sense of bravery around that. How do I get more vulnerable? How do I keep staying open when it's so easy to shut down? It's so easy to say, you know what, this whole staying open and loving people is too much because people die, people go away. And I just, nope, I'm out. And life is much brighter when we can, you know, be with loved ones too. I was very, you know, Stephanie called me up and she's like, you know, you have to come. And I was, you know, leaning into that instead of running away from that vulnerability has always proven to be rewarding in my life. And it proved true this time also.
Thank you for sharing that piece. You asked yourself this question, and you've probably been asking it to yourself your whole life. How do I get more vulnerable? And I love how you relate that to courage, because that's really what that is. The ultimate courage, right? So I'm so happy that you were able to come, and it's been an honor to be, you always hear me say, I love playing in the sandbox with you guys, because it's just a whole nother level of badass. You are amazing. And I thank you for moving through your stuff with us in this project. So thank you.
Thank you,
Sherrie.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So Karen, tell us about your amazing chapter.
First, I just want to say I'm so happy to be here and to have had the opportunity to travel and to share my story. Like Sherrie, I was invited on the trip to Teo, and I realized that it was the first time that I would ever be out in the world, really facing myself head on. And my chapter is about an experience in my life that I thought I had managed to face, and I was able to truly face the events and other similar events after that with some compassion. And that was an inspiration for me to write what I wrote in my chapter.
Like with Sherrie, I just want to thank you for not only saying yes, but also for your courage. There are so many things that could have stopped us from this. You know, the trip is one thing. That the trip was a big deal. It was a big deal in the middle of all sorts of craziness. And we made that happen, and we got together and we were able to support each other. But I want listeners to understand that Karen, you know, she got back to me and she's like, you know, I think we need to put this is graphic content on my chapter. And I said, okay, that's not a bad idea. You know, we'll warn the reader, but I've had the question posed to me so many times about, is this going to be too much for people? Is this going to be to whatever? You guys can fill in the blank of that. And I think our books are meant to help people understand that they're not alone. And Karen, you were courageous enough to write that story, and that is going to change somebody's life in terms of understanding that they're not alone. And I just wanted to say thank you for being brave enough to do that. So what do you want, Karen, what do you want to share about, just give us a little teaser. Don't give it all up, but what do you want to share about your medicine?
So what I want to share about my medicine is that it literally took me about 300 uses of that medicine for me to get clear that when you will forgive other people before you forgive anybody else, you have to really forgive yourself. And literally, as I was writing out the medicine, I was like, yes, Karen, now is the time for you to really own that and not use your experiences in a negative way, but rather to lift up yourself and others. And I have found that medicine has been quite effective in my own healing and also reframing relationships with other people.
Yes, no doubt. And thank you for that. You said something a minute ago that I wrote down. If you guys see me looking down, it's because I'm scribbling notes. And you said this meant I'd be out in the world facing myself head on. And I loved that. And I think a lot of us in the healing world, we say to ourselves sometimes when the deeper layers move up to the surface to be healed, we're like, wow, I thought I dealt with that already, you know? And then here it is sort of in your face, but I appreciated that. Okay, I want to know from both of you, but I'm going to start with Karen for this next question. What does it mean to have a shaman heart to you? What do you think, Karen?
For me, what a shaman heart is and what it means to have one is that you are literally willing to go through your stuff and to be willing to transform your relationship with your identity and all of the stories that you thought were true and you realize are not, because you've grown a relationship with higher consciousness, and in realizing that you are one with that higher consciousness, and really just knowing that everything that has happened is a lesson to what and who I am now.
And transforming your relationship with your identity is no small potatoes task, right? I mean, this takes a warrior. Tell me a little bit more about that. Like, how was that for you personally?
So even with just writing the chapter, I mean, what I wrote about was something that I thought that I should hide. And I realized that that experience and so many others like that are what made me realize that if I can survive that and if I can learn from those particular experiences, I can handle anything.
Yes, thank you. Oh my goodness, I love listening to you guys talk about this. You give such amazing gifts of awareness to the people that you serve. Thank you both for doing that. Sherrie, how about you? What does it mean to have a shaman heart?
Well, Karen, that was just so eloquent and perfectly describes so much of, I think, what that experience is when you walk in the world as someone who is constantly holding the mirror up first. And that, I think, radical self accountability is one of the things that I would add to that, that just that sense of anything and everything that comes through, even the death of my sister was like, okay, I know this is not just random, horrible awfulness. There's something in this. There's something in this that is gold for me. And that is really hard sometimes. And it is amazing. I think we all have shaman hearts. I think we are born with shaman hearts. And to me, the word shaman people get weird about it sometimes. They're like, oh, or shamanism. And that word, that it's just whole body. It's like walking through life. I'm not just coming through with my mind. I'm not just coming through with my body. I'm coming through every experience through all my senses, whole shamanic, somatic senses. I'm going to experience joy and tragedy and love and loss shamanically. And that's all that means to me. That's my filter through the word shaman and shamanic. And, originally it's from all these beautiful indigenous cultures, the shaman of the tribe. But I think we are all, if we are all one, if we all really believe that, then we are all shamans. And we're mostly shamans for ourselves. And then, you carry that into your children and your relationships. And like we spoke to earlier, it takes courage, it takes vulnerability, and, working with everyone on this chapter, like this book, these chapters are just, holy moly, these people are laying their hearts out on the altars. And I just couldn't wait to read everybody's chapters because everyone has come with their shaman hearts wide open. And that is, it's a gift. It's a gift.
Most definitely is the hugest of gifts. I appreciate you talking about the word shaman and the word shamanism too. I remember with somebody just telling me one day, shaman just means healer. Like, I wish people would get over the the whatever it is they've got going on about the word, because I think it's just what people don't understand scares them.
Mm-hmm.
And I am so with you. Everybody's a healer. Everybody is a shaman. So I love hearing you talk about that. Okay, Sherrie, you talked about wholeness, which is an absolutely perfect transition into this next question I want you to both to touch on. In the book, we take a very holistic approach in all of Brave Healer Productions titles. That is what we're about. And when it comes to this healing journey that we're on, I want to know, why has that holistic approach been important to you? I know that's a big question, but what does it bring to mind in terms of that for you?
Well, I think there's no other way. Well, that's not true. There's so many ways to walk through life. But, I've been a body healer for years. And, if you look at someone and you just address them, like they come in with their shoulder hurting, their shoulder hurts so much. And if we just take that one shoulder and just look at just the shoulder, we might get some relief for a minute, but there's some reason, some deeper reason, almost always, that in the energy body, in the emotional body, there's some imbalance. I like to look at the body, there's all these garden hoses running through as energy rivers. And there's some cord that got kinked. Maybe it's not the shoulder, maybe it's the foot on the left side that's causing the shoulder on the right side to hurt. And I think we can apply that to our emotional body as well. I talk in my chapter about, loss is loss. When we don't heal as on a whole level, the losses that we've incurred throughout our life, when a big loss happens now, it's like this Velcro strip. It goes back and it touches on every other loss we've had. And it can take us, it makes it feel like we aren't going to survive it. But as the more you heal up these places on the whole, like you notice, how does my physical body feel? How does my spirit feel today? Do I feel vulnerable and open, or do I feel closed? You just start to approach life as a whole person, not just the shoulder. And then when big losses come, or, a breakup or a pet dying, or, it doesn't have to be this, death or a divorce. There's so many losses or things that can make us feel disintegrated, if you will, or disassociated. And so we're disassembled. We come back together when we can address ourselves as a whole.
You're making me think a lot about my training as a holistic physical therapist. I always put that word in front of PT because I wanted people to understand that I was looking at their whole self, mind, body, soul, spirit, big toe, neck,
yeah.
and the fascial system, the three-dimensional system that was energy filled, right? So when you understand what holistic means, you have this opportunity to heal at a level maybe you didn't even think you could before. And thank you for talking about that in a way that people can understand. Sherrie and Karen, thank you so much for being in a collaboration of many voices. That's the whole idea, is that we need to hear the answer to what is holistic from every single one of you, because there's always somebody that needs to hear it in the way that only you have to say it. So yeah, super awesome. Sherrie, is there anything else you want to say about that?
No, I think that's,
Okay.
I think that, yeah.
Just making sure you finished your thought there. Karen, let's move to you with this. So holistic, what has that meant to you on your journey?
So for me, holistic reminds me a lot of yoga, and how in yoga, it's not just a movement or a sana practice. It also is a mind and energy, awareness practice. And you can't really move in life or in your storytelling or in your writing unless you literally address all of those areas. And I think that even the way the book was written as a collaboration shows that, like in yoga, that we are all one group of a whole, and that whole is all one and the same. Like each of us is all connected. And then yes.
Yeah, I like thinking about that in terms of taking, I think Sherrie said it, radical self-accountability, because as soon as you do that, then you are doing the work for the whole.
Yeah.
And I think well, I won't speak for everybody, but I know I spent a lot of my life trying to fix everyone else and help everyone else. And I was like, oh my gosh, when are you going to have a moment to just be responsible for your own self, right? What else do you want to say about that, Karen?
When you say to be responsible for your own self, I think something that really hits me is that I've had to go through a transformation of being very concerned about what other people feel or think of me. And I realized that as long as my heart shows out and I am helping people from my heart, that's all that matters.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so ladies, I know that you agree with me when I say feeling is healing. And feeling is an awareness practice. And you are offering these beautiful gifts of awareness today in your beautiful chapters, all the time when you share your own stories and adventures with everybody. So for me, helping people to feel is part of this. It's part of the gift. So Sherrie, I want to know, what's that practice of awareness look like in your personal day-to-day? I know that there's probably like 30 things that you might do, but give me a top one that you love.
My most favorite is using medicine cards. And all those you can find them on Amazon. You can, you can go into a bookstore. So many people are putting their medicine in this modality of, and it's one of my favorites because first of all, I got 3 kids, 2 on the way. I don't have a lot of time in the mornings when I'm trying to get everybody to school and do all things. So for me, I wake up, I take a minute, I light a candle, I burn a little sage or something, and I just sit with my deck. And I have like 5 different decks. So that's where it starts. Which deck wants to talk to me? And then I just ask, I just sit and ask, what do I need to know today? And it's just that moment of notifying the universe. I'm listening, paying attention, and I'm asking for help. I think so many of us get so like, I got this, and we forget to stop and open up and ask for help, that vulnerability thing again. But if you start your day with that intent, connecting with the whole, connecting with the ancestry, your ancestry, and all your allies and your guides, and your 4-leggeds and your 2-leggeds, if you really take a moment to acknowledge that's happening all the time. And then you pull your little card, and it's astonishing. It's like, oh, I'm not alone. There is a whole nother level of energy that is supporting me and giving me a message. And so that's the one I can't do without. When I travel, I take my cards. It's just my quick connect that I can do every day. And it reminds me that I'm not alone. And it also is astonishing the advice that you get from the cards. It's like, oh, that's so right on. How did that happen?
Do you have a special suitcase for your decks when you travel?
I usually, before I go somewhere, I just pick which one wants to come with me on that trip. So it's one little portable deck.
I'm teasing you because I've heard so often that people become deck collectors, and you've got your library. I love it. But you know what? The one question that you said is so powerful. What do I need to know today?
Mm-hmm.
And that itself could just be a mini meditation. I wanted you ladies to talk about these things because I want our listeners to understand there's so many different ways that you can pause and connect. So I love that one. Thank you, Sherrie.
Yay, you're welcome.
Karen, how about you? What's one of those things that's in your day-to-day awareness practice?
So every morning when I first wake up and I walk into the restroom, I look in the mirror and I have on my mirror these 3 lines. I celebrate you for, I forgive you for, and I commit to you that I will. And I read those and I look at myself directly head on and I speak out loud so that I can hear myself responding. And sometimes when I get to the I forgive you part, it's not always as easy, but the more that I am able to see myself as someone who can do all of those things helps me more and more to have compassion and also self-love so that I can impact the people who I come around in a positive way. So rather than look outside for help, I look right here within me, and I know that I will have a great day because I have full on addressed myself before anybody else.
I love that. I'm picturing the mirror and then also just chuckling to myself about speaking it out loud, especially if you have anyone else in the house. I think I'm going to have to try that and we'll see what the reaction is.
Yeah.
I love that. What a great start. And anything you all do, I'm speaking to our viewers right now, anything you do first thing in the morning is going to set your day up for the rest of the day for that awesome energy. So I know many of you have probably read the books, the Miracle Morning series, right? I have my Miracle Morning that I start off with, and it sets the rest of the day up. So think about Sherrie's card, pulling a card, and think about Karen's looking in the mirror and having those statements and affirmations and promises to yourself. And that is some radical self-accountability right there. Both of those things. I would add that I've added music back in when I need a shift. So in my awareness practice, if I'm feeling a little bit low, I will bring on something that just makes me smile and raises that vibe. So the music is a big deal, and great, energetic, crazy ass music, but also sound healing.
Mm-hmm.
And music that is produced specifically for a frequency. And that is some really profound, very interesting stuff, right? Combine it with a little breath work and your whole day will be different. Your whole week will probably be different.
And dancing. I just want to say,
yes.
Dance. It's amazing when we get this like, oh, heavy. You can literally just shake your body for like 3 minutes or dance for just put a really great song on. Like, I love that you brought that up because it literally transforms your energetic field and can change the rest of your day.
Yeah, rapidly.
Yeah.
Rapidly. All right, ladies. So, Karen, do you have any last words for the listeners about maybe, they're listening and they're getting what you guys are talking about, but they might still be struggling. What would be one last thing you want to encourage them with and help them feel empowered today?
I want to say to you all that I hope that you become your biggest cheerleader, and that no matter what happens in your life, that you can give yourself grace and know that you are on the planet to make a big difference.
Thank you, Karen. Sherrie, how about you? Close us out today.
I think one of the things that has transformed my life and my personal growth is the word curiosity. We so often lean into judgment. And this is, self, like you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, it's so stupid. Or, that patterning and that behavioral, shame like that we have taken on. When we can start to wake up and be like, I wonder where that voice is coming from. Oh, honey, you must have been really whatever to make you feel like you could talk to yourself that way. Who talked to me that way? And you start to, curiosity has so much more space, the infinite possibility when you remain curious instead of judgmental.
Yes, one of my very favorites. My version of that for myself is, that's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
That's awesome.
Oh my goodness. Sherrie, Karen, thank you so much to both of you for what you do in the world and for being here to share it with everyone.
Thank you, Laura. Same back at you, Mama. Brave healer, warrior woman.
I am grateful.
So good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, ladies. To our listeners, if something that Karen or Sherrie said today just really sparked you, I've got them hooked up down below in the show notes. So go click on the website, explore, see the awesomeness that they are up to in the world, because it is large. Okay. They are very generously there for you to answer questions and give support and help you take the next step. Maybe there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything. These authors and experts and master teachers have some of those somethings. So explore their worlds. And also remember to join us for the live stream book launch party that we're going to have on April 13th. That's going to be to gather together with all of the Shaman Heart authors. We're going to be doing that on the Brave Healer Productions Facebook page, and I have you linked up down below for that as well. If you're listening after April 13th, then hop over to Amazon, because that means the book is ready for you to grab your copy. And lastly today, you guys remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone. Thank you, ladies.
Thanks.
Bye now. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.